Hello and welcome to another Daring Mindset Live. It's great to be here, and of course, anybody who's here, please feel free to let me know you're here. Write some comments, say hello, and of course, at any point in proceedings, please do ask questions or comments, anything that comes up for you. And also, if you're watching this live or if you're watching this on replay, do please watch all the way through to the end because there will be an exciting announcement at the end. So, what are we going to talk about today? What I want to talk about is having obviously in previous lives talked all about how doubting, can be it can be something we use to hold ourselves back from really achieving our potential, and for even thinking ambitiously, let alone actually taking aligned actions. Yet, I'm going to talk today about when doubting can sometimes be good. Hi, Dominique. Really lovely to see you here. And again, anybody who's here, please just write a comment, anything that comes up for you. I want this to be really interactive. So doubting. When is doubting good? And if you think about it, we need a certain amount of, let's say doubting for the moment, but we need a certain amount of kind of a bit of a break sometimes to stop us just running headlong into, new situations or new initiatives without perhaps really considering what we're doing, what the impact will be, what we will need to do, and also perhaps what the long-term consequences are. So it is useful sometimes to take a step back and just kind of check in and kind of go, yeah, is this right for me? So when we think about the sort of doubting framework and the daring mindset, the doubting framework, what can happen is we have a great idea, and when we're doubting, we hold ourselves back. The idea is to get through that fear place, through that doubting place, into a daring mindset and through to growth. And the purpose of this stage here, which I'm going to call discernment, is to make sure that at all phases in that framework, we are actually moving in a positive direction. We're actually moving in a direction that's aligned with our values, that is something we want to do. And making sure that we've really considered, anything that perhaps could go wrong or might not be right for us. So what I'm going to do is talk a little bit more about that discernment place. So we might describe it in many, many different ways and how it acts within us. I sort of think of it as that, it might be inner wisdom, it might be our common sense, it might be our intuition. Whatever it is that feeling inside us that can sort of come up when something may or may not be right for us. It could be, that quiet, sensible voice that speaks up and which we sort of know always speaks the truth, even if we don't always want to hear the truth. And the idea of sort of this discernment angle is really to help us tune in to that feeling, to that voice that is kind of telling us how things really are and telling us what to look out for. So that that intuition and that discernment, it can help guide us, in the right direction as to whether something's right or not right for us. It can help us pull back, if something isn't right. And it does that really by raising what I think a lot of people call red flags. That sort of that alert that something isn't quite right. We don't necessarily know what it is, but it is that intuition inside us kind of go, whoa, hang on a second, something isn't quite right here. And that can then stop us doing things that we kind of know deep down aren't right for us. So, but why do we need this? If it's common sense, if it's intuition, if it's just true, that something isn't right for us, why do we need discernment? Why again don't we just follow the right path? And there are many answers to that. And one of them comes up within that element of sort of doubting, but some of the behaviours we create. So when we may be moving towards, a positive idea, sometimes we might want to take an easier path. And so we try to ignore those uncomfortable voices, which are sort of saying, we want to check this out a bit more. And sometimes we use it as a distraction. So often, we're following a path that actually, is quite good for us. And that can lead us into that sort of distraction, that drama. So we may veer off onto that different path simply to create drama, simply to create a distraction from perhaps the harder work that we know we need to do, or perhaps the harder truths that we need to face within us, or the negative beliefs that we need to address. Because so many times, and I will tell you about the examples I've had in my life when I've done this, we charge ahead even when things aren't aligned to our values, even when we have a lot of red flags. We overrule that intuition, and we kind of persuade ourselves that whatever it is we're doing or planning to do, that's the right course. And we can be really quite stubborn about it and really quite determined and sort of think, okay, yeah, I know, I get you've raised that red flag, but it'll be fine. I'll manage it. I'll deal with the situation when it happens. And when we're doing that, what we're quite often doing is, we're overruling our previous experience. So when we think about perhaps relationships and we find ourselves in repeating patterns of relationships. Hi Nadia, lovely to see you, and thanks for dropping a note in. And again, anybody who's here, do please say hello, write a comment, ask a question, anything that pops up for you. So when we carry on regardless, when we ignore that intuition and those red flags, we're ignoring those repeating patterns. Perhaps, like I say, in relationships where we find ourselves in the same relationship over and over again with different people. We might be ignoring, perhaps guidance from friends or family, and we're ignoring our gut. Whatever part of our nervous system, our thinking system lives within our gut that tells us something is not right, we ignore it. And sometimes we can sort of get into hi David, sometimes we can get into a challenging situation of that sort of almost that toxic positivity. So we think, okay, I've got these feelings of doubt. I've got this, this thing in my gut that's telling me something's not quite right. But we get into, Dominique said there, I'll just show that. We ignore those red flags just to find ourselves in the same situations again. And that's so, so common. So think about when it happens for you. And so, when we're in that sort of toxic positivity space, we sort of think, no, I'm just going to power on through. I'm doubting. I'm just being scared. I'm going to power on through. And you think, if I just work hard enough, I can do it. And what that can do is almost might lead us into burnout if we're working harder and harder and harder to try and make something right that isn't right for us. So what happens, if we ignore this true doubt, this intuition, this discernment, we can find ourselves in those repeating patterns of behaviour. We can find ourselves in damaging situations that aren't right for us. We can find ourselves in those relationships. And what that can then do is lead us into believing that we're not capable of being successful, that we always get it wrong. Thanks, Kirsty. I'm going to put your comment up there. around that idea of toxic positivity. And it's really important to find that balance between positivity and realism. Am I coming along with a positive mindset, or am I using positivity to sort of blank out those, perhaps that uncomfortable conversation I need to have with myself or others? So what happens? And we sort of come to persuade ourselves that actually we're not good at getting jobs. We never find the right job. We never find the right person. So almost, what's the point in trying? And what that can do is have some quite significant consequences for us in the long term. If you think about it, it might be ill health, it might be relationship breakups, it might be toxic relationships. We might find ourselves in a failing business because we've perhaps ignored some very significant, things that we needed to look at. We might run into problems with our career because we are ignoring something that isn't right for us. And, I've done that myself. And in short, we hold ourselves back from achieving our full potential, which is such a sad thing to do. And I've experienced this many times in my career. Everything I speak to you about in any of these lives, I've pretty much done myself. And I've also worked with people who do it as well. I've started relationships who weren't right for me. I've stayed in relationships that weren't right with, pretty predictable results. As a leader, I've hired people despite having red flags, despite, something saying this person isn't quite right. There's something not quite aligned here. And thought, no, it's all right. It'll be right. We'll sort it out. And it hasn't. And it's caused problems with the team, with productivity. And also, it can cause problems as a manager. And I've done it in my career that, again, I've very, very early on in my career, probably about 20 years ago, I took a job that I knew deep down that the values and the practices of the department were not aligned with me. And again, fairly predictable results. I did end up leaving, but after a very challenging time, and after my confidence had been really, really sort of damaged, I think, in that job. So much so depressing. How can we prevent this? What can we do about it? And I think there's sort of three ways. And I guess the order, I was playing around with the order of these. And I think really probably the order of them will be different to different people. But I think these are the three elements. So, jiggle them around as much as you want. And again, if anybody's there, say hello. Please drop in comments. So one of the ways, number one, is fully connecting with our inner selves. So we can understand more what drives us, what we truly want, what's right for us, what our values are, what perhaps our purpose is. And also we connect very much with our, with our physical selves, with our, intuition. I do apologise, we have a cat in the background. I was kind of hoping that wouldn't happen, but never mind. So when we can connect with our intuition, we sort of know what it feels like when things are or aren't quite aligned with us. So secondly, again, in no particular order, by connecting with our intuition and identifying everything that's going on for us, sorry, here's a cat. Yes, everything that's going on for us, including Bailey the cat. So when we can connect with our intuition and identify everything that's going on for us, our thoughts, our feelings and behaviours, we can become really aware of, situations. Great, yes, and we've got some great comments here. So for David, and you can see Bailey the cat on the in the screen here. So David, daily meditation helps me attune to my intuition. And that can be incredibly powerful. I mean, much like David, I've had some really powerful insights when I've just stopped when I've just stopped to connect with what it is I'm feeling. And then Kirsty's saying, yeah, coaching to help us connect with our inner selves. Absolutely. That can be a great way of having an external, an independent, external, objective person to help us, question ourselves and what's going on for us. So, thirdly, and I'm going to just leave the cat there if he's happy there. Thirdly, by separating out doubt from discernment. So when we know what it is we want and what the kind of doubt feels like within us, we can then start to understand where it is we are perhaps simply fearing and holding ourselves back through fear, or where there is genuine reason to sort of take a step back, be discerning, look at what our intuition is telling us. So when we put all of those three together, we can then become far more aligned and just understand what's going on more, which allows us then to take that step back, to look at that, really sort of interrogate our intuition, if you like. And what I've done is, much like I've done the doubting framework, so the acronym, doubting is a state of mind and an acronym. I've done a sort of a good doubting framework, so a parallel framework here. And I'll go through that again in sort of fairly high detail. So if you think about D, it is discernment. And it's also data and detail. What additional... Yeah, absolutely, Dominic, here we go. Regroup, re-strategize, absolutely. And that sort of... It shows us there are other options, I think. And I'm going to actually come to that in a moment. So what data, what detail, what additional information do I need to A, find out what it is that might not be aligned, and B, perhaps what I can do about it, what needs to be done, where the pressure points are. That leads us to O, which is objectivity. We can, it may be ourselves, it may be with an objective third person, like a coach or a mentor or a trusted friend. We can then sort of really observe ourselves, what's going on for us, what's going on perhaps with the other parties. And by doing that, by being objective, we can pull back and think of other options. Because sometimes we ignore these doubts and this intuition because we think there is no other way. Okay, it's not perfect, but I have to do this because this is the only option I have. Well, if we can pull back, we realise we have so many more options than we realise. When we get that objectivity, that takes us to U, which is that unification with our values, with our purpose, with what is right for us. And we can start to really see where there isn't unification and what actions we could take to align, to get that alignment, to get that unification. That also leads into things like balance. And I think Dominique's, in one of my previous posts, somebody has mentioned about balance, finding that balance between, positive, good doubt and the, the sort of the fear doubt, between positivity, daring positivity and toxic positivity. And also how that fits with our beliefs and how our beliefs might tip the balance in either direction. Our beliefs that we couldn't get anything else, this is our only option, I don't deserve anything better, those kind of beliefs, versus, actually, no, I believe I can create the life that I want. I can step back from this if I want to, if I choose to. Under T, we want to look at what the truth of the situation is. So that comes back to that objectivity, but really, really, really look at the truth of what is going on for us now, what could happen in the future, if we ignore our our intuition if we ignore these red flags. And it also helps us to really get connected with the towards movement that we want to have. And so, when we are ignoring our intuition, perhaps ignoring red flags, are we really moving towards, our best future, our most powerful future? Or are we perhaps moving away from a more challenging situation, a difficult conversation, or the really difficult work we might want to do to create our most positive future? So that comes back to that drama place as well. So that's always the thing. Am I moving towards, my best future, what I really, really want? Within I, that feeds into that I, which is identity. Very much that identity of, is this creating the identity I want? For me as a successful businesswoman, as a coach, are these actions supporting that? Or are they driving me back towards perhaps an old identity of not being good enough or not being worthy? So we can really check in and see where our identity is playing here. That also allows us perhaps some insight and, again, more information. What more information do we need to help us make that right decision? As we move then, there's another sort of aspect which really runs all the way through, this kind of discernment process, which is need. And if we're coming from a sort of a needy place, we're being needy, that can be coming from a place of sort of lack or scarcity. And again, we almost think, well, I have to grab this now because that's it. That's the only opportunity I'm going to have. This is the only chance of a relationship. This is as good as it's going to get. It's not great, but I need to do something now. I should. Rather than actually connecting with our real human needs, and allowing us to have those needs, those real human needs. What is it I need? Not from a scarcity place, but what are my basic human needs, and allowing myself to have them. And then I think with all of that, what that allows us to do is to go into G, which is let's take a gradual approach. We can, and I've done this myself, thinking I have to make the decision right now. If I don't make it now, it's black and white. It's now or never. And I have to decide now because I'm a human. I hate uncertainty, so I feel like I have to charge ahead or not do it at all, and I have to do that now. But with all this discernment piece, we can go gradually. We can get the information we want. We can take time out just to check in. Is this right for me? If not, what else? What tweaks? What do I need? What conversations do I need? And we can just proceed in a, orderly direction. And I think that allowing ourselves to do that, even if that orderly direction is backwards, and that's a really powerful consideration because sometimes we feel that we've got so far down a process or a situation that almost we can't back out. We fear what other people might think, or we think we've put too much effort into something to back out. And actually that can be quite damaging. So we can allow ourselves, this process also allows ourselves to pull away from things that aren't right. And I'm going to give you now two big occasions in my life when I very, very nearly overrode some really strong intuition, which was telling me, situations were not right. Yet, thankfully, I was saved. But at the last minute, in one of the occasions, by my own inner wisdom and intuition, sort of going, okay, stop, this is not right, this will not end well. And one of them, which wasn't as last minute as it could have been, was I nearly married someone, despite the fact that my intuition was lit up like a Christmas tree. to say, "Yeah, this guy is not right for you. This is a toxic relationship. Why do you want to marry him?" And quite frankly, I sort of came to the conclusion of, I really don't. And yeah, pulled away. Thankfully, it was not at the altar, because that would have been more difficult, but I did it. And then actually, very recently, I very nearly jumped from the frying pan of burnout into an even bigger frying pan. So when I burnt out from my director of research job, I then applied for 3 more director of research jobs at bigger institutions, because basically they asked. I was approached, and my ego sort of kicked in and went, "Oh wow, great!" And because I'd been approached, I felt I had to, particularly as I'd been recommended by people in my network. And then, of course, I got to a certain point that was, I felt I'd gone too far to pull back. But thankfully, my intuition really took the lead on this one, and I suppose it wouldn't let me. I wasn't engaged. I wasn't excited enough about the opportunity, so therefore I didn't work. I didn't give my best interview and didn't get the job. So I was my intuition saved me. I don't think there was necessarily some conscious things there. So, what have you taken from this live? Again, if you're watching live, if you're watching on replay, do drop things in the comments. Where have you ignored red flags in your life, and what was the result? And also think about what's going on for you right now. What situations do you have in your life where your intuition is perhaps telling you that something's not quite right, and maybe you're thinking, no, I'm gonna push ahead. So take a few minutes just to kind of pull back, take a deep breath, and check in with what your intuition is telling you. And like David says, meditation is great. So what that then leads to is just thinking about then what actions could you take to help you connect, to understand, to gather more information, and to make the really aligned choice for you. Thank you, David, for your lovely comment there. So that's the story of when doubting is good, the good doubting. And now, I did say at the beginning, David says here, I always regret when I don't listen to my inner guidance. How many times have you found yourself in a situation and gone, I wish I'd just listened to me, to my friends, to whoever. And we end up kicking ourselves. And that's when, again, we then imprint that into our beliefs that we're bad at making decisions, So, great. So now, I did promise at the beginning of this live that I would be making an announcement at the end. And here it is. I'm really excited to say that next week I will be launching your Daring Mindset group coaching and mentoring program. So this is sort of the bringing together all of the Daring Mindset work, all of the frameworks, a lot of the things I've talked about in the lives, but going really, really deep. So what I want to say, so the program is at the moment, the program is for women. It's, for amazing women who are, passionate and innovative, but perhaps are perhaps you're holding yourself back. Perhaps you're not reaching your full potential for whatever reason. I would say that the one-to-one version of the program is open to anybody. But in this first launch of the program, the group program will be for women. And perhaps a cat as well. We may have a cat in the group. So what I'm going to say is take a moment right now to think about the dreams, the aspirations that you hold in your core. Imagine what it would be like if you could bring those dreams to life and take the daring actions to achieve them. To be able to let go of those beliefs and stories and behaviours and all that doubt, the bad doubt, which hold you back for even from even dreaming big, from even allowing yourself to name your ambitions, and to allow yourself to take that sort of magnificent leap of faith into your future. So this powerful group program, it's 15 weeks and is based on the Daring Mindset Framework, and also is structured through the 6F Daring Accelerator. And the reason it's so powerful is because it combines really ambitious goal setting, aspirations, and performance coaching to help you reach those aspirations, with the deep, deep mindset work that you need to help you dream bigger than ever before and fully achieve your potential, because you're letting go of all those old beliefs, those old fears, and those old behaviors. So in the program, I'm looking to create a small, intimate group of amazing women who are looking to seriously up-level their success and are committed to facing and letting go of those old fears, and letting go of those old people, beliefs, all of those things that maybe hold you back. And so that within that group, the people in the group can create the kind of life, career, business, relationship success that they truly want and that I know they deserve. So if this is you, please DM me right now to schedule a free call where we can talk through, I can give you more information, and to see if the opportunity is right for you. Places will be limited. So if you are committed to transforming your life, then this is the moment to seize your opportunity. And the full launch will go out next week, and I will be on live quite a bit next week. So hopefully you'll get some more information. So thank you for everybody who's turned up here today, for some really insightful comments and tips. Anybody on the replay, please do chime in with your comments. And I really look forward to seeing you next week. And of course, don't forget to DM me for more information about the amazing Daring Mindset Group program. Thank you.